Welcome, Uttkarsh. Welcome to the Sankalp show. It's really a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Sankalp. I'm really honored to be part of this show. I saw your previous videos with Udit and Vinayak and Vinay, sorry,
Vinay.
and yeah, so they were quite interesting podcast, and I listened it twice, thrice, and I recommend your viewers also to listen to it because it was very interesting from the perspective that how they are thinking and how they are analyzing their business
Absolutely.
and yes, obviously you ask them pretty good questions that you dig them down that how you are doing this, how you're doing this. That was really nice.
Yeah, thank you so much. The whole purpose of conducting all these podcasts is to learn and make other people learn through the conversations that we have, and I'm hoping the best for this conversation as well. Yeah. So recently you tweeted about something like you got an opportunity with American company or something like that, right? So what exactly is that?
Yeah, so it is an on-campus placement.
Oh, great.
I got the placement in the DXA technology, and it is one of the services company. And to be very honest, like at the day when I got this, in the same day they have partnership with the Manchester United.
Oh,
So it was like, okay, this is something really cool. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Oh, so, okay. So, which college you are in currently?
I am in Vellore Institute of Technology, the
Oh,
Bhopal campus.
which campus?
The Bhopal campus.
Bhopal campus. Okay, okay, great, great, great. So you're in third year right now.
No, I am in the final year.
Okay, final year.
Some semester, not the semester. Some things are going not the official one, but some marks are pending and from the
Okay,
college
okay,
side.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. Got it, got it. So I have also seen that you also run a startup, and
yeah.
to an interesting point, last year back in 2021, when your startup was selected in Eureka's 2021, even my startup was selected up to first round, and
Yeah, that's
there was
great.
yeah. And by the way, like for the first round itself, which campus did you attend? Like in which city did you attend the investor as well as the startup meeting? Or yeah.
So everything was online from their
Mhm.
side. So we have done everything on here by sitting at their homes, and they were sitting at their unique places.
Okay.
So the round was significant enough that we had a talk with two of the investors and
Mhm.
one of the manager who was dealing in our field. So it was a quite interesting talk that uh, how investor invest money when
Mhm.
the startups are at very early stage.
Okay.
Like they don't have anything to bet on you. So how they think that okay, uh, let's take on this and let's put this up and select this kind of startup. And Eureka played the part that how can we connect,
Okay, okay.
right? So
The reason I asked is because like in our case also, like when our startup got selected for the first round itself, they invited all of us to an offline, to an offline place. Like for example, in my case, I attended the session in the Greater Noida sector, right? So
okay,
in the NIET college, right? So I
yeah.
thought that if you would have been there, then there is a very good chance that we have met personally before, even before we knew each other, through Twitter. So that was the reason I asked basically, because if
Yeah,
I would have been in Bhubaneswar, I would have gone for the IIT Bombay's. I mean, Bombay. I would have chosen the Bombay center, but as I was already in Delhi, so I thought that let's go ahead with the Greater Noida part. So that was the reason I asked you, because if that would have been the case, we would have met earlier as well, right?
yeah, definitely. But was it last year or last to last year?
No, no, it was just last year, December of
Okay,
2021. Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Nice,
yeah,
nice.
yeah. Yeah. So, as you told that you got an opportunity with the company and you got placed through the campus, and also you are running the startup, right? So, aren't these two things contradicting to each other? And how are you going to manage it?
Yeah. They are contradictory, but as said, you can't run or build a startup by saying that okay, I can or I will leave everything and then certainly I will build a startup on my own.
Yeah.
You need a backing, you need some experience, you need professional experience, and you need also the networking, the most
Absolutely.
important part to run a startup. So
Hmm.
obviously the main goal for me is to build a startup that is very sustainable, and
Hmm.
at the same time learn from folks like you and others कि भाई और अच्छे से हम perform कर पाए.
Absolutely. And the reason is that because like most of the people believe that कि like startup कर लो and everything will be like a very smooth thing, but we know that इतना smooth होता नहीं है, right? And
Exactly.
yeah. And by the way, I just wanted to know कि when these companies come in college for the placement side, right? And I mean, I have noticed this very, I would say, a policy for the company that if you are a startup founder or if you are already working in a startup or something like that, then they either need a very good clarification that you are not a part of that particular startup, or there are certain conditions on which you have to agree with the company, right? So was there not a case with your placement, or there are certain companies which want which do not want you to be a part of any startup or anything like that? So is there any scenario like that?
Yeah. So everything depends on company to company, first of
Mm-hmm.
all, and the second thing is like since we are collaborating with our college placements and the company, so
Mm-hmm.
the college management is playing the middleman role here. So you have to play very smart in convincing the college management, like
Mm-hmm.
you are just a student, you are nothing, you have no relation with the startup. So this is the first thing I have done with myself. I have nothing to do with startup. I am just
Mm-hmm.
a pure student of VIT, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, and you have to follow the procedure of the college,
Okay.
and then you have to deal with everything, and you
Mm.
will be fine. Like still, if because I'm very new to the placement cell and the to the professional world of this companies, so I
Mm-hmm.
will be dealing like I am your part of this company, and I am not a
Mm-hmm.
startup founder or anything like that.
Mm. Yeah, because I have seen this happening with the, like, and I mean, I hope you remember about the case that happened with even Love Babbar. Like he was
Yeah,
working in Amazon, and despite of just having a single YouTube channel, there was a havoc that was created in Amazon just because of that, right?
yeah.
These are the
and
things that
and
actually
and
affect. Yeah.
one point I will mention here is that like this work from home culture has given opportunity to many folks to
Hmm.
build their own thing, be it YouTube, be it
Yeah.
startup. So companies can't avoid this, and they have to understand, and it's better that they understand it very soon.
Yeah. Because I have seen in Love Bubber's case only. Like Amazon has a problem with a YouTube channel as well, but Microsoft doesn't have it really.
Yeah,
Like and with most of the other the software engineers which make vlogs and about these things, most of the companies, or specifically talking about Microsoft doesn't have any problem with that. But you can't say the same thing with Amazon, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So those who understand it early, it's better for them only.
Yeah, absolutely. So, by the way, what is your startup is all about? Like, of course, I know about it, but let's do it for the audience. Like, what is your startup, and in which sector it is, and how is it helping the other people out there?
Yeah. So currently, I'm running a startup with my college professors only, and it is an
Oh.
edtech startup. So we are building a platform where mentors and students can meet together and they can interact in a healthy way, and at the same time, mentors can guide student in one-on-one mentoring. Is not just something like a coaching or a tuition. It's a one-on-one mentoring session. So anything you want to learn from one mentor, let's say for example you have to learn AI. So AI is a very big topic in general. It has very subtopics, and if you want to learn those subtopics only, you can reach out to our mentor, and he can teach you, he or she can teach you the basics of those subtopics. And if you want to learn about whole AI as a topic, then you can learn about that in a one-on-one mentoring session. And he will
Okay.
guide you throughout your exam. If you have any, if you are in the college, if you are in the school, he will guide through our mentor, and many other things also. Like if you want to gain your personal experience through that, how this is implemented in real life, then our mentor can help you in that as well. So
Oh.
it is like like a parent teacher meeting type thing,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that how we are building this. So we are still at very early stage, and we are trying to build more and more at this.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so it is basically in the edtech space. And love to know more about how is it different from the big. I mean, I of course I know that the big players in the market have all sort of tactics and different techniques that they can acquire, that they can use to acquire customers, right? So, what do you feel like? What's the loophole in the edtech industry that is being faced by the students? Because as far as I know, the product of most of the companies is quite good, but there is a certain problem with the marketing strategies. Like I'm with what type of startups I'm talking about, right? Be it Byju's or be it earlier it was the WhiteHat Junior scenario and all that jazz. So what is the loophole that you feel that there is something that exists in the edtech industry that what you are trying to solve?
Yeah. So the biggest loophole we found is that the same is that each edtech is starting is like targeting many folks at the same time. Like you take example of Byju's, you take example of Unacademy, they are targeting masses, which is good for their profitability and to sustain at a certain level, right? But they are not targeting individual students who are left behind and sit at the backbencher, right? So we are targeting those students who are really in need, and they can't motivate themselves to come to teachers or to any mentor. So we are targeting those students, so that they can come up with their thoughts and express them freely. So this was first loop. Now the second loop, which is already been solved by YouTube, that was the costing issue. So it has already been solved by the YouTube, and many giant players now like Physics Wala, and many in this sector like
Yeah, yeah.
maybe
Even
you can say Aman Darwal and
yeah, even the Unacademy is like back in the day, it was acquiring YouTube channels just for their distribution.
yeah, sure. So these things are very common in the YouTube sector. Like they are giving the free education to all. So, but now the only lacking thing in our as an individual, because we have analyzed at our own level, that students are not motivated to study only. Like like they need some kind of motivation, that why I need to study. And sometimes they think that padhai se kuch nahi hoga, and many other things. So
Absolutely.
for that, one need to be doing one-on-one mentoring, because when you sit in front of a teacher, you tend to study a lot.
Yeah, that happens.
So these are the things that we are pointing out, and we are trying to figure it out.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I would say that the entire pandemic and lockdown has completely ruined the habit of studying and giving the exams and all that. And I think that is something that we can personally, as well as personally feel that we have almost lost the habit of studying in studying the way we used to do it back in our first year or second year. And yeah,
Exactly.
so yeah, so talking about the startup sector, even looking more deeper into it, there's a very just last week itself, there are multiple startups who have fired their employees, right? And it is extremely difficult for them to sustain with a huge number of employees, right? And so why is that happening, number one? And what do you think could be the future of such startups who are firing employees at such a huge frequency or a number?
Yeah. So there are many reasons behind it. What I have analyzed, reading various articles, and talking to various folks in this industry. So I have realized this, that at a certain level, like some of the head in this startup, they are acquiring students or the professionals to just hire another student to become the brand ambassador for their face. For example, let us take example of a X startup. I will not name any startup. They are now going to different colleges and acquiring some or two intern on their behalf, that let us be part of our and do your internship from our
Startup.
startup. So they acquire that, and the face of the student become the brand ambassador in that college. And this is taken to the next level when they become a
Full
part
time,
when
full time employees,
when
right?
yeah, when they become a full-time employee, so they are known as business development executives or something related to these.
Yeah.
Now the thing is that they don't need these kind of student, because they are already into the position through YouTube distribution to social media distribution, that they don't need anyone like these. They can be the face of their startup itself and then promote themselves accordingly. So the majority of them hiring are in the non-tech sector. They are not into the tech sector. So the thing is that, and this is done by majority of the startup, which you see are the big in the gems, not at the very base level. Yeah.
Yeah. And with the filing of at the huge with a huge number, and it always puts up a question of doubt whether to go ahead with these startups or not. Because most of the, just like you as well, you are graduating this year, and you might have got an opportunity to work with a startup, or with a very new age company, right? And but looking at these news, and looking at the statistics of these startups, that they're firing their employees right after 1 or 2 years of service, that actually creates a doubt in your mind as well, that whether you should join that company or not. And adding on to that, they provide a very good salary to the new people. They provide, because it is something that is quite attracting to a new or a fresh out from the college, that okay, this is something that is quite valuable, but they do not realize that they are actually might be playing with your skills, and later 1 to 2 years down the line, you might not have that much of value to the company, right? So how can someone avoid that? And my personal approach to avoid that is to, even while investing, when it comes to investing or anything like that, I personally never apply to IPOs, or the new age startups that come up in the market, and they get listed in the stock market sector, right? So but I always go with the traditional companies. I always go with the companies that have a very good portfolio, or very good time. I mean, the companies who are rich in time, like they have existed since past 50, 60, or maybe
Yeah.
10, 12 at least years, right? So what's your strategy, first of all, if you are investing in such startups? Like, are you an active investor, first of all? Like, haven't.
Mhm. I'm not an investor.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
just a college student.
No, but still,
Yeah.
like, when you get the knowledge of investing, and when you know how to put your money in the right sectors or right amounts, it becomes extremely easy for you to determine what company is doing what at what particular period of time, right? So yeah, never mind, if you do not invest at all, so that's great. And you we have seen that you talk a lot about, we call it as sustainable development, as well as the renewable energy. So why is that, first of all? What exactly is it, first of all, to understand it in a better way? And why do you do that? And what could be the possible harms that could come up with it?
Yeah. So my talk about sustainable development is to first of all analyze people and to educate them at the same time. So I feel that sustainable development is a thing that is generally a preconceived notion developed by the United Nations, and it
Mm-hmm.
has those 17 goals pre-listed accordingly, which I have also put in the banner of my Twitter. So if you want to visit, you can visit that. So it says some 17 goals are to be reached by the
Mm-hmm.
2030 target. So it is
Mm-hmm.
their target by the United Nations, and the United Nations control all over the nation. It has, except some of the nations like China and all.
Mm-hmm.
So so these 17 goals are to be reached by the 2030 and some of by 2050.
Mm-hmm.
Now, now the main focus to reach to this sustainable development is that we approach towards a society where everything is harmless and you can live a life with full harmony and peace, right? So some things are there like renewable and green energy. Some things
Mm-hmm.
are like making fashion accessories that are without harming animal flesh and all, and
Mm-hmm.
no poverty, but full right to full education and pure drinking water, and the things like this. So uh, so my focus is to aware the folks, because very few are doing this, especially in the content creation side of area. If you look at any place, mainly Instagram or YouTube or even Twitter, you don't see anyone doing these kind of stuff. Either they be in fintech or either they be in tech, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to educate people more into this area, so that many folk talk about this and real life startups could be implemented with this, because we need these kind of startup rather than these tech startup who are glorifying NFTs and crypto.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
So, because we are going to live in the world where digital era is also not there
Mm.
at some point. And why I'm saying this, that after just the pandemic has gone, people were going into the offline sector. They
Mm-hmm.
want more of offline sector. They want to stay away from those mobiles,
Mm-hmm.
right? They People can't rely everything on mobile and tablets or laptops. So
Yeah.
at a one time you have to see the outside world, and at at the same time you need to have that oxygen, your oxygen.
Mm.
You need that neat and clean water. So you don't see many startup working in this sector.
Okay, so are there any startups already working in this sector?
So there are very few, and you can remember them by names only.
Oh,
Like they are doing good, so therefore you can remember them by names. One is very active on Twitter, Mr. Ankit Daryani. So he's making a filterless air, a pollution-free environment.
okay.
So and there are many like who are doing into the sector of accessing the floral waste and making
Mm-hmm.
it into the agarbattis and all.
Okay, okay.
So so there are some the name of the startup is Cool. So there are some startups who are doing in this sector, and they quite intrigued me, and I think it must intrigue every person also, because uh, these are very basic startup, like they need deep tech research,
Mm.
and and they are not accessible to the market area where everyone is reaching out to them, like they have a
Absolutely.
huge fan following and all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
we who will promote them, the folk like us only.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. You talk about influence, right? Like when you are saying all of these things, you talk about that the people are not very much aware of these kind of things already happening, right? But and of course I agree to that, because if you have a very big influence of sustainable development and renewable energy, then I would say that there would be a lot more folks who would be focusing on that particular area, right? And talking about last year, when like this whole episode reminds me of that thing, that when Elon Musk's Tesla, when he stopped receiving payments in bitcoins and all sort of cryptocurrency. So then at that particular time, when a figure like Elon Musk, he throws up the concept of environment conservation, and how Bitcoin mining or how these cryptocurrency mining can actually affect the environment. If a person like him can actually do this, then there's a wave of discussion that happens all across the globe. So I think we need to, just like you are kind of an influencer on Twitter who talks about it, right? So that was the sole reason even I got to know about this is also a sector where startups can be built and startups can work out, right? So I think that's a very great initiative by you as well as the startups who are doing wonders in this particular sector, right? So what I have also seen is that there are like there are multiple startups who just there are actually multiple college students who just start a startup, and specifically talking about the people who are in the, for example, like IITs or the top institutes of the country. They start a startup and they get a funding, and then they, what the concept that we call it as the cash burn, right? Then they just simply burn the cash of the investor, right? So how appropriate is that
Yeah.
particular approach, first of all? And what do you think that what could be the possible future of the startups who take up the money and then do the cash burn and do not produce the appropriate results?
Yeah. According to me, the thing is that now the investors in this month only, like we haven't seen investor a lot of investing in the startups, and the prime and sole reason for that is maybe the inflation or the ongoing war which is happening between the Russia and the Ukraine. So so the thing is that the burn rate at which the company is losing money, it is typically of the term of it is we can say that it is synonymous to the negative cash flow. We are not seeing the positive cash flow, and very few, we have 101 unicorns currently in India, and only 23 are profitable. Now, what is the reason behind it? The only reason is the negative cash flow, not the positive cash flow.
What's that?
So yeah. So when we talk about the negative cash flow, the currency coming in the company is less compared to the it is going out, in simple terms. And the positive cash flow would be the vice versa of this. So the thing is that the investors and the company founders and the CEO and the managing directors have to make sure this that they are at the balance side, they are at the neutral side. Neither of them is affected, not the negative cash flow or the positive cash flow, so that you are more profitable and you can make a business which are sustainable for your employees also, so that you don't fire them. Now when you raise money, you cannot it is very difficult task, to be very honest, when you raise money. And when you are bootstrapped, you have access to all these money and all those employees, so you can have that neutral impact into the cash burn of the negative cash flow and the positive cash flow of the money. So therefore it is rightly said that when you are starting a startup, bootstrap it for at least 1 to 2 years, and then go for raising money. Everyone have their different opinions. Like, this is my opinion, this is what I have analyzed. uh, yeah.
Yeah, we talk about, just because we are active on Twitter and we see that every other startup is getting funding, and they have big plans out there. But what I truly feel about, if we talk about business or if we talk about the startup culture, what I truly personally feel is that even the people who are, let's say, running a grocery shop, okay, they are, and if they have multiple branches or something like that, they are much more doing it in a better way as compared to like picking up the funding and doing all of that jazz, right? So I would say that the basic root of running a business is still the same, whether you manipulate in the so-called the intellectual sense of the Twitter community, or you do it in the most desi form, which is probably running grocery shop and then making money out of it, right? One day I was just scrolling down through LinkedIn, and I saw a post of a guy. He said that in Bangalore he met a guy who had like 12 to 15 the outlets of गोल गप्पे वाले जो होते हैं ना, लाइक उनके 10-12 आउटलेट उसके खुद के नाम पे थे. लाइक ही वाज द मेन ओनर ऑफ द वन, एंड he had those outlets in multiple what do you call it as places in Bangalore, right? And since
Yeah, yeah.
there is no play, like it is something like a pani puri wala is someone who can just pick their whole shop and can take it to another place, right? So in that case he was
Yeah.
generating more profits, and despite the guy who was the owner, he was a full-time employee of other company as well, right? So he just told him that I have these multiple outlets, and this is just the kind of side income that he was making, right? So I think the essence of running a business, or the essence of doing a business, is still the same. Like you can just, it should be just the exchange of values, right? And I believe that most of us are actually living, like when we discussed this, the whole thing with the previous podcast guest as well, that we are kind of living in the VC bubble, the venture capitalist bubble, and the
Mm-hmm.
economy and all that jazz, right? So what's your take on this? Like, are we actually living in the VC bubble, or and if so, when is the time that it is going to burst out, right?
Yeah. So I think you mentioned it very well, like that Gol Gappe wala point. So we have many Gol Gappe walas, many chai walas, many pakode walas and all who run their business out of this, and they are doing really well. The only
Yeah,
thing we lack is that we don't respect them, or we don't give them enough attention. That
absolutely.
like, yeah, they are also they can also become a unicorn in their own place if we give enough respect to them, right? So the thing is that what I have also analyzed is there is nothing wrong in going for raising funds and contributing towards the GDP of the country,
Mm-hmm.
because this is what is made for. Like, you can't deny it. The government is supporting this. The government is promoting this. Now, at the same time, who is running the business? Like, let's say, for example, MBA Chaiwala. So he hasn't raised any rounds, but still he is doing absolutely great, both on social media and onto the real ground of the business.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he's the prime example, and he's the prime motivator of how things work and how the business work. So yeah, that is my point, that balancing both the sides is essential.
Yeah, yeah. You talked about MBA Chaiwala, and there's a little controversy that actually happened on YouTube. I mean, I don't know if you are aware of that or not, but there's a guy called as Lakshay Chaudhary. He has a huge following on YouTube, and he actually made a video on him that how MBA Chaiwala is not talking about chai at all, and he has a very good PR agency, and he has a very good distribution or the social media thing, right? So I agree, like I agree on that. Like how much content you can create on chai and whatnot, right? But I would say that Praful Vellore, who is the founder and the owner of Chaiwala, MBA Chaiwala, he is doing absolutely great on whether it is on YouTube or whether it is related to his social media presence or the PR marketing strategies, right? So what do you think about it?
So yeah, basically, you need distribution to run your business, and the best distribution platform is social media.
Yeah.
There is no doubt in this. So this is what he is doing, and this is what many guys are doing, and soon they are realizing. Uh, and he is doing great, and he also mentioned in one of his tweet. I remember that a tweet or video. I don't remember that, but he mentioned that only chai cannot do my business. There are many things involved in running a business, and I'm doing many other things also.
Oh,
So one of his prime example is he is doing a franchise business out of that MBA Chaiwala.
yeah, yeah,
So that is that is one of his example. Now there are many ways through which he would be earning money, through which
yeah.
his revenue model would be generating money. And talking about the social media, if you are not on social media, how would people know about you? Like that's the thing that Gol Gappe walas and Pani Puri walas and Pakode walas are missing.
Missing,
And
absolutely.
and with time they will also engage, and with time I'm sure that they will come onto the social media and do wonders at this platform.
Absolutely, and we got connected through social media. There are multiple things that are happening in our lives where as we are there on social media. Even for my podcast as well, I'm connecting with new guests through social media itself, right? And looking at your profile on Twitter, you have a huge following on that. It's soon going to hit 10K followers on Twitter, right? So what's the strategy? Like, what according to you works on social media, and what according to you does not work?
Yeah, so for me, Twitter has worked. Like I came on Twitter because of the sole reason of networking and
Hmm.
to communicate with one scientist, which I have been dealing, like which still I can't contact him. And because this is a great story, I can share it on this podcast because we came because of one idea which we had struck in our mind, my team members also, and we want to collaborate with him, ask him, get his guidance or get his mentoring. And his name is Ashwath Raman. So he's an Indian origin, a scientist working in America, and he is doing great there. He had many TED talks. He had many. He was also into the White House, President White House,
Oh wow.
and he has done many stuffs around sustainable development into the solar sector.
Hmm.
So we just when I was early on the Twitter, I just want to talk to him, and I tagged him, I DM'd him, I LinkedIn him, I even cold emailed him. I tried many different things, but obviously he didn't reply. And and from there, I thought to why not to leverage this platform? Why not to
Hmm.
leverage Twitter? And from that day, I started engaging with many other folks around this sector. And then soon, a diversified audience came. And
Hmm.
let's say from the perspective of software engineering, from the perspective of YouTube, from the perspective of just the social media influencers, and
Hmm.
many other stuff. And from that day, I haven't stopped. I have been working consistently on this, and I feel that to grow at this platform, all you need is consistency and to
Hmm.
work daily, and to focus at only one platform. You have to focus
Yeah.
at only one platform. Once it has reached to a level that you are satisfied, then you can focus on to the other platforms as well. So this
Yeah.
has worked for me, and I'm figuring it out.
That's great. That's great. So, what are your future plans? Like, looking at you are in the final year and you got placed in a company. So, what are your future plans as of now?
Yeah. So as soon as I get my graduation degree and have that convocation party, I will be after that I will be working soon into the that MNC, and that will be my first professional experience.
Hmm.
So taking that professional experience, I would also be devoting my time into the EdDify, the startup, edtech startup,
Hmm.
and at the same time I will be creating content around sustainable development. So these are three basic things which I will be following, and I will be focusing on these three things. The day I feel that I am over exhausting myself, then I will stop, obviously, and
Yeah.
focus on just one thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So, where's the campus of the company? Like, is it in India or is it somewhere in America?
No, it is in India. So currently it is work from home, so
Okay.
they
Okay.
haven't signified anything.
Okay, okay, great, great.
So the main headquarter is in America.
Yeah, great. Like that's actually great. Because most of the software engineers or the people in the tech industry, they do parallel things, right? And I'm in a favor of that because you never know, the site or the entire the cycle of being a software engineer. It keeps on changing in every decade, I would say, right? So you have to keep on figuring out multiple options for you as well to sustain throughout the life. And that's absolutely great. So with this, Utkarsh, we end up the podcast episode. It was great talking to you.
Thank you, Sankalp. It was great talking to you as well. Like the questions were quite amazing. Like you, again, as said in the earlier part of this video, you really dig down onto me. You really focused. It was nice meeting you as well, Sankalp.
Thank you so much. I hope I did not make you uncomfortable.
Definitely not. And then there's the coolest part when someone is not making you uncomfortable.
Great, great, man. Great,